worldwide.
Exclusive. Diamond Dub, loose lip.
Diamond Dub exclusive. What you mean? Well, that's just me. What you mean?
I'm standing at the peak of my passion. April baby shower send lightning a flashing. Overflow of diamond tidal waves are crashing. Flooding all the issues I've had in my past, and I'm surfing straight past them. I'm filling with action. All my haters swarming with the fatal attraction. Common curiosity, the question they're asking. I just look at them laughing, I keep moving on past them. I'm no longer a has-been, now I'm a Shelby. Gone in 60 seconds, unicorn the Shelby. Coming over obstacles, working with shall we, and yes we shall, see Lee prevail. Some new shoes and a pinstripe suit. Reminisce on mama playing the band hot blue. Getting fresh.
Welcome to Lee TV's Impact on Life. I'm your host, Jermaine Lee, and I just want to say that I apologize for the last few weeks. We've been in and out, hit and miss. The weather's been crazy. It's been a lot going on, but we're back with you. Happy New Year. I love you all. I thank you for supporting me. We have made it to our second year. God be the glory. In the studio today, I have with me Pastor Milton Boyd, and we're dealing with the theme of the year: unity, togetherness. How do we accomplish this goal? What are the characteristics of it? What does it look like? How does it operate? It's a difficult task to live alone. And for that reason, we have sickness, disease, stress, crime, and violence in our community. So how do we address it at the root? And you say, well, Lee, why do you say at the root? Basically, when you go around your house and you have weeds that have grown up and they've become mature, tree-like, strong, their roots are deep. And right now, many of our communities have been plagued with such disarray that those roots have become strong. That tree has been planted for years. And it's at moments like that where you have to choose your tool to get to the root. Sometimes you might have to use a hatchet. Sometimes you might have to use an axe. But sometimes you might have to get on your hands and knees and just grip it real good, get some leverage, and pull it up out the ground. However, if you leave a piece of that root deeply planted and you don't get the heart of it, it's gonna grow back. And we say, oh, well, we've had people arrested in our community, and we've had different raids, and we've had clean sweeps to remove addicts and prostitution, and we've been to doctors, and we've been to specialists, and we've had test after test, but we just didn't get it. We're chopping at the tree, but we haven't hit the root. Today we're going to dissect a way to get to the root. We might not get to pulling the root out. We might not get to chopping the root down, but we're going to expose the root of our problem. In the studio, I want to welcome Pastor Milton Boyd. How you doing, Pastor?
God bless you, and thank you, and good for having me here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I told him today's a hat day. It's just that type of night. And last week, Mothers United Against Violence, Hartford Communities That Cares, Blackwell, AME Church, Phillips Metropolitan, all unified in a coalition called We Works. And in this coalition, they gathered members of various families who have had cold cases come on the victims that have been murdered over the course of the last 10 to 12 years here in Hartford. And they brought them to the table with prosecutors and police officers and discussed ways, and city council people, and they discussed ways to rectify the issue of having cold cases. Why hasn't my loved one's murder been solved? There were several different forms of resolve that went forth, such as the police have decks of cards that they circulate through the prison system to identify cold cases. So if someone was murdered on a certain time, they would have their face on the card, the dates that they were killed, information or hotline information to call in and report that you have information on this case. They've also taken steps as far as counseling for the families, and it was a great event. The families got an opportunity to express their concerns and remedies, and the police had the opportunity to express their concerns, as well as the prosecution, as well as city council and the civic and street grassroots organizations that combat this throughout our community on a day-to-day basis. Now, I gave the closing comments, and I reminisced on my own personal life. There used to be a time, Pastor, when we could sit back at our own homes and dialogue mano a mano about our problems over dinner, because we were neighbors and we knew that we had to keep our community close-knit and together. We had however many houses were in our neighborhood, but we knew mostly everybody on our block, across the street from our block, 2 or 3 blocks in both directions, for the most part. Many of these families worked together, all the kids played together and went to school together. Several of us went to church together. But at that time, we didn't have to lock our doors. We could fall asleep with the front screen door open and the back screen door open and have our windows open and be in various parts of the house sleep and not have to worry about an intruder. Occasionally you had a break-in, but they usually timed that perfectly because it was normally when people were out of town or on vacation. Now we don't live. What do you think that it is that actually caused us to get away from the peaceful civil communities that we once had 30 years ago?
One, the system had changed. And the system have changed people. And people have allowed the system to change them. I like the way you went in at the beginning of the topic and talks about the root. And how you have to chop some. Some had to pull them. Well, when you talk about the root and then you think about the community, the unity we have. We don't have that unity no more. At one time, we wouldn't let the weeds grow.
Right.
Because somebody will always cut it off.
Right.
If it was something that we saw that was rooted up in the community, rooted up in somebody's house, or rooted up in somebody's child, we cut it off at the root so that it would continue to blossom, grow, be cultivated. We cultivated one another. Right. Today's community have allowed the system to change everything. And I was talking about that a little bit today, about how we have failed and we are still failing. And then when people want to say, what's wrong with my child? Why is my child like this? I did this, but you forgot what you really did to cultivate the child. When we was raised up, there was, if somebody was in your community, if somebody, even the principal or the school, they was all in your business. Today, and no matter what went on, they weren't afraid to tell you that, listen, Johnny shot such and such.
Right.
Today, it'll be done and people will know it, and yet they will not speak on it. And this is how we got so many unsolved cases, because the police got so many things they got to do, and they can't focus on direct that one thing.
And one thing that came out was that the community has to respond.
Exactly.
If the community doesn't respond, then how can they address the issue? Now, you say, okay, well, we're scared. Me personally, right now, I would like to plead to the element of people that the system classifies as criminal. You are the fathers and mothers, uncles, aunties, sisters, and brothers of everyone in high school and below. All of them are influenced by each of us in one way or another.
That's right.
They see our everyday movements, they hear our everyday actions. Some of us are guilty for taking children into situations where they will be exposed to some things they do not need to hear, see, or witness at all. I cannot say y'all, because at random moments in my life, I too have been guilty of that same thing with the children under my tutelage in that way. Many of us have jobs that work with children, so we are exposed to a larger group of children, and they observe us when we interact, and then they observe us in other sequences, and it's okay for them to see inconsistencies because you're not going to be one way all the time. But when they see inconsistencies that conflict with the rules and the regulations set out by the laws of the land, or they see things that conflict with the level of exposure their young minds should be privileged to, then we're held accountable.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what go back to our roots. I mean, a lot of people say, well, we don't want to live the old way. No, we don't have to live the old way. But there are some things that we do not supposed to do in front of our children. There are some things we're not supposed to say in front of our children. And I have found out even in my life that now I'm dealing with my children. You know, she says, so as a man sow it, so shall he reap it. And if you reap from the sow from the flesh, you reap from the flesh. You know, so I look at it now, being that I'm living a born again life. Now it's hard because some things I taught my child or my children or people that were around me, that now they see them changed, it's hard for them. It's like I'm reaping, you know, I'm fighting against, look, this is where you should be. This is where I did it wrong, but let me come back and try to show you this. Be lovable to people, be kind, watch over other folks. Don't them just watch over you, watch. And I'm trying to do this now in a community. This is Hartford. I'm trying to do this in all the shelters. I go there and minister, and I'm trying to let them see, look, you need one another. A community is not really about one person. That's people's biggest problem. Everybody think they have the power to do one thing. No, everything works together, and everybody needs everybody.
And you know what, Pastor, not to cut you off,
go ahead.
You mentioned a lot about rectifying the wrongs of the past.
Yes.
After I've raised my children for this long, according to this standard, and you know me as this guy.
Yeah.
Now I've changed and I'm this guy, but you see me as this one. That's directly involved with uprooting, because see, in order to uproot, you have to loosen up the earth around it. And you have so much that is compacted around that root, that roots are strong.
Yes.
Roots are very strong. Because if the earth is cracked and hard and dry, that root has to dig and dig and dig until it finds water. So the plant is actually growing, even though you don't see it sprouting up. It's actually sprouting down. You don't believe me? Go get a lima bean. Wrap it in a moist cloth and keep it in a plastic bag for 3 days. You will see the bud burst from that seed and start growing in a downward manner. Now, it doesn't matter which way you put the seed into the ground, it's going to find a way to go down. Now, all of these issues that we've have had to fight through hard, crusted earth in order to find water. Now, sometimes our well is not good water. Sometimes we dig a well deep and it hits a pipeline, a gas line, some type of waste, and that root is going to go through whatever is underneath that ground. If you don't believe me, get a construction job, de-earthing things, and you will see that they have to go through and replace some of those big cement round pipes that they have in the sewage system because roots have broken through and caused leakages. Now, if a root can break through concrete, a root can break through bad earth, it's going to dig and dig and dig. That's a strong root.
Yes, it is.
And when you have to reinstitute a new way of life, you have to go through something. You have to get through the ground. You have to dig around that root. You have to break through that cement that this root broke through. So you're going to see everything that your root actually went through. You're going to relive all those moments when your children come back and be like, well, Daddy, you used to do this, so now that you're going to do that, what? And you sitting up here like, why is it this hard? Well, you have to get to the root. You have to get to the bottom of the whole situation so that as you pull it out, you can pull it out complete. You won't pull it out far enough so that it still have room to grow. You have an opportunity to replant it. You have an opportunity to moisten the soil. Like you said, you go to the shelters. You have an opportunity to dig up the earth by going to these different churches and being in the community. You have an opportunity to relive a brand new life once you've been born again. And that's a whole another level of getting to the root of things. You have to identify the solution in order to get to the solution of the problem. In order to solve the problem, you have to identify a solution.
Otherwise, what you're saying, you had to be an overcomer. You had to been and had to go through this. And this is what our community refused to understand. I mean, it's so many, going back to the community, it's so many, we're not steadfast with one another. We don't have no unity with one another. We don't have no boldness with one another about love and compassion. And because of these things, it's calling our root to grow and spread and go in places that it shouldn't be. And then what it does now, it cultivates itself in the land and calling our children now to grab a hope. But here we are got an opportunity, because there's too many unsolved, whether it be whatever nationality of people. There's too many things unsolved, and there's too many things that we should be doing something about. God gave us power to do things. That God, the same God that brought Egypt through, the same God that delivered the people of Israel, He's the same God gave us the power to go and take back. What didn't He say that? What belongs to us. The cankerworm ate. So evidently, if the cankerworm ate the community, or the cankerworm ate up our home, then we got to go back and dig in that root, replant it, and watch this now. To replant it, it's gonna get hard.
Right.
It's gonna be some stuff that you got to really get through, because after you broke through the softness, now you got to dig a little deep, because the root done gone so deep. This is where our community, this is where our unity, this is where our compassion for one another is. We done gone so deep that it's hard. We have a desire to want to help one another, but won't.
Now, that's the perfect segue into, because we're talking about how to come together. We're talking about the unity factor. We're talking about togetherness. And in order to identify a solution, you have to also identify the problem. One problem that I see among our community is that we as a people do not take the time to be cordial and courtesy to one another on a consistent basis. We pick and choose our endeavors, and when we would like to be nice, open the door, say hello. But today I had an interaction with a brother who was putting salt out on the walkway of one of the businesses that I deal with. And I said, man, brother, I gotta tell you, I appreciate the job that you're doing, because it's well needed. You're doing a great job. He said, thank you, brother. You're my encouragement. You're my inspiration. I said, we need more of that through the hood. He said, man, God is going to bless you. I said, he already have, because you stopped me from slipping on this side. See, when we can identify the differences in each other, because I was going in the building to do a different thing. So I couldn't stop and say, oh, give me some of that salt. Let me help you spread it. But what I can do is I can encourage you while you're doing what some people would look down upon, I look at as being necessary. See, some of the jobs I was going to my job the other day, and the garbage truck men were out there jumping from one side of the street to the next side of the street, dumping the cans and getting the recycling separated. And I said, hey brother, I appreciate the job that you do in the community. And all three of them was like, hey man, thank you man. You know, we greatly appreciate that. Stay blessed. And what is that doing? That's breaking down the stereotype of, I don't have to speak to you, I don't have to be nice to you. It's saying I can be cordial with you because I need you. What if the garbage men went on strike? What if all the salt shakers stopped throwing salt? I mean, real talk, this is wintertime in New England. That's going to be a bad situation with slick roads and snow that hasn't been pushed out the way, and dangerous situations coming out of your home to a ice-filled walkway. These are simple interactions, moments of passing each other that don't even take
Standing, that's a peak of my passion. April baby shower, send lightning a flashing. Overflow of diamond, tidal waves are crashing. Flooding all the issues I've had in my past, and I'm surfing straight past them. I'm filling with action. All my haters swarming with the fatal attraction. Common curiosity, the question they're asking. I just look at them laughing, I keep moving on past them. I'm no longer a has-been, now I'm a Shelby. Gone in 60 seconds, unicorn the Shelby. Coming over obstacles, working with shall we, and yes we shall see Lee prevail.
Tell me where you been lately, why you acting rowdy, crazy?
What do you mean?
Ready to go, ready to blow off the walls, don't you know? Tell me where you been lately, why you acting rowdy, crazy?
What do you mean? Two scoops, some new shoes, and a pinstripe suit. Reminisce on mama playing a band high flute. Get fresh and best.
TV's Impact on Life. I'm your host, Jarmaine Lee, in the studio with my distinguished gentleman guest, great guy, mentor of mine, Pastor Milton Boyd.
Bless you.
Thank you for being in. We're dealing with the topic of unity. Together, everyone achieves more. That's what team means. And we've identified several things throughout the course of the first half of the show, dealing with uprooting our issues, the turmoil that it may call for in order for us to dig up our roots. And now we want to talk about the system. Many of us have had different interactions with the system, whether through the legal system, whether through the court system, whether through the child system, whether through the job system, whether through the banking system. There are so many systems in place right now that have caused havoc among our community that it seems dynamically difficult to live a civil, everyday, all our neighbors know each other type of life. It really does. I cannot lie, I love the United States as a place. It has been great. I haven't been anywhere else in the world, but I've been to several different places throughout this country, and I see so many similarities in people. One thing that came out in one of the conversations was that the only thing different about people is the lingo, the language, the tongue, however they communicate, slangs and different dialects and whatnot. But the issues, the situations, the scenery changes, but the situations are all the same.
That's right.
And that shows me that we are one people. We just live in different places. At random moments, we're all subject to the same situation. So with this economy being the way that it is, jobs are scarce. Jobs are scarce. I understand that completely because I've had to deal with being jobless for too long, both in Illinois and here. And thank God for my job now. And that causes tension in the household. When you're looking for other ways to gain employment, and I know several people go buy a piece of pickup truck and go scrapping and do a lot of metals and different things. Some collect cans and bottles for change, and some go a step further and start cutting grass and doing lawn care for funds, and others sit back and say, I don't want to do any of that, and they go and resort to the streets, whether through drug sales, gun sales, some type of illegal activity, prostitution, different things. Others say, well, I'm gonna link up with Social Security and just get paid. Others say, well, I'm gonna just get child support, or I'm gonna just get food stamps, or I'm gonna get my benefits through here, and I'm gonna live in this type of housing. But after a while, keeping with the same old, without any change in lifestyle, behavior, attitude, I still have the same bills and they seem to be increasing even though my income seems to be decreasing. I'm getting less money, but I'm having more bills and there's no break in that. That causes an uncomfortable situation. So how do we address that? How do we as a community, being minded of coming together and of the same mind, how do we overcome the hurdles of our everyday lives because of the system?
One of the things, let's take Newtown incident and go back to exactly what you're saying. Now, if you take Newtown incident, you will see one thing that was fantastic, extraordinary, strong, was they came together and they built something, they started something. And notice, one man didn't do it. Many people got on board of that vision. So that's when I go back again and tell you that if we don't come together and now just like you were naming all the different scenarios people go through, all right, that is true. So that means those people, especially those that say, well, I just want to sit back, I'm just going to collect this, that means you lost hope for vision. And if you lost hope for vision, then therefore you lost hope for yourself, and there's no hope for nobody around. When you do the fact, you're not living in hope. You done gave up. So the thing is, that's why, if we want to take back something, that was a prime example when we look at what happened in Newtown. And then when you look at what's going on now, you notice there's a system now that is set in place that system now is calling folks to send stuff, but they got so much stuff they can send it all over the world now because they don't need it. It's overflowing because they came together. This is what our problem, and that's our prime example. If we don't look at it on a prejudice situation, look at it as a learning thing for us. They came together and got something done, and now I guarantee you, I believe strongly, I don't know for sure, I haven't heard it, I believe by next year they'll have a school bill. They will, the public will, not the system, the public will, due to the fact God is showing us so many things in natural things that we fail to recognize. That's why he said we have eyes but we cannot see. We have ears but we cannot hear. Don't you see what I'm trying to show y'all? Come together. Don't you see that here's a child from a baby, lost hope and love from his parents and lost it by the time he was grown. So now God allowed all that scenario to show us a people who comes together, and I mean blessings everywhere. There's nothing that they cannot do or cannot get. All they got to do is say, we need this. And so that's where we are messed up at. That's where we stuck at. We need to come together. We need to learn how to understand. Look, you got a vision? Look, let's build things for one another. I was thinking today, I was laying back today and it come to my spirit. I said, Lord, what can I do? The Lord said, I don't need a lot I need a little to make a lot. You get a vision, you get something and you stay with it no matter what trial, no matter what tribulation you're going through, stay with it and I would make it overflow with a little and it becomes a lot. And so when I look at Newtown as a prime example to all of us, especially our nationality of people, showing us the power of unity and steadfastness and believing in a dream and then going forward. Because we really can change it. There can't be no president if we don't get no votes. Is that right?
That's right.
So evidently that means he needs us to be able to put him where he, there'll be no government if it won't be us to put him there. We need laws. We need them, but all these things are going on, it's out of hand now. It's out of hand because there's no unity in none of us. Everybody wants to get rich and nobody wants to look at that man down there. That man down there is more important than the man up there. Because if you can get that man from down there, I always teach. I teach all the time. I don't give you a fish. I teach you how to fish. Because if I teach you how to fish, I won't have to worry about feeding you no more. Because you'll go fish for yourself. Then you teach somebody else how to fish. That's what we have to do. I mean, when we really look at what this topic you were dealing with about root up and all this, that's a prime example. where things have happened so terrible, so drastic, and these people, minds and heart are so broken because of what their child they can't see, but yet people come together and they're building systems to help one another. The system didn't do it, they did it. Prime example. And we mumble and groan about so many things, but all we got to do is just look, let's put this together. Let's do this. Get some true people that will work together. That's what I see that God is calling us to through in these last days. We're calling us to look, come together, show unity, be steadfast, root up that stuff that's in you, that hatred, that envy, that strife, get it at you.
You know, in Acts, when the apostles came during the Pentecost, the people brought all of their abundance and laid it at the disciples' feet. Now, that doesn't mean that their lifestyle changed. That doesn't mean that they were selling. If they were well off, then they were still well off. However, they took of the cream of their crop and they brought the best to the storage place, the storehouse, to the designees, so that those that had lack would be able to address the issues of the people with wisdom and divine understanding. Somebody might need clothing, someone might need a financial blessing to establish their own business and to fine-tune their craft. Somebody might need knowledge or wisdom books, and others might need food and crops and different things that were brought of the abundance. And when I look at certain Asian communities, they have what's called a giving pool. And every 3 or 6 months, 10 people will get together and say, okay, we've set aside $500 to give to this pool because this family wants to move to America. So you have about 10 people that just gave $500, and now that money is given over to this family that's about to relocate. It's given as a security blanket so that they will be able to have a business or a home investment or vehicle investment or travel money or whatever they're designated, whatever that family wanted to do with that money, these people, and they continued to give because it would go around the table and everybody didn't always move. Sometimes they would keep the fund and just give every 3 months, and then when somebody did need to leave, they would get their portion of that fund. And these type of techniques need to be incorporated in our community.
Exactly. I mean, now watch this. Now, let me show you how profound that is true from the Bible point of view. Number one, if you know anything about the Bible, in the book of Acts with 5, where it talks about Stephen, and the Bible said, and they picked 7 men, and Stephen was one of them. Now, what did they pick him for? They picked him to make sure that this they had a program where they would give food and clothes and all this and feed the hungry. He said, well, look, we can't stop preaching to give clothes and stuff away. So evidently they had a department for that. So they said, we can't do that. Then when we look at it again, you mentioned the book of Acts. Okay, look at the book of Acts. The book of Acts brought a community of people together who never knew anything about Jesus. And when they brought them again, it was 120 in the upper room, but by the time God got through, it was 5,120. Brought together in a community to be able to help one another, to build, not just, I mean, they really sold their own possession. They did everything they could to show that Jesus came, that the community would come together. On the Sabbath day, that was the only time they ever saw each other. One time a month or whatever the case was, they didn't have no love, they didn't have no community, unity, or nothing. So when Christ came, that's what he come for. To teach us the important need that we need one another. We need to be able to help one another. We need to be there to, be there to strengthen one another. That's what Christ came for. And that's what he's saying. I come that you look on one another. When he got all the rich people, say, come to the house and let's eat and dine and wine. The rich people didn't want to come. Everybody had an excuse. But he said, well, go get the lame, go get the poor, go get the sick, bring them here. Let them come and eat and dine and wine with me. So evidently what he's saying, so I can bring them together and teach them. And that's what we have to really get back to, is going back to cultivating one another. Going back to root up the stuff that's in us and being saying, look, forgive me, I treated you wrong, I shouldn't have done this. Or going back to say, hey, I'm so glad I met you. Since I've been in your life, man, it don't take a man with a degree to do that. You don't need a doctorate degree or a master's degree to do that. All you got to do is go out there and look at this man who's sitting down, look at that woman who got all these children and walking and stop and say, look, is there anything I can do for you? But no, we don't got that kind of love. That kind of love, they say it disappeared, but it can't be, because why? God still blessed us to be here. And He's given us an opportunity now to raise up and help one another, because you can't do it by yourself.
That's right. That's right. And on that note, I cannot conclude this without focusing in on our children. Right now, our kids are going through a level of stress that we as parents may not understand because of our upbringing and what we experienced growing up. However, the things that we went through is what have established the stress level that our children are experiencing right now today. We have kids in our schools that do not eat. We have kids in our schools that don't get the proper hygiene attention that they need. We have children in our schools that are not reading at an adequate level for their age. Some because of personal or genetic reasons, some for ethnic differences. But we have to identify our children for who they are. And we have to help to reveal to them who they are.
That's right.
And the best way for us to do that is to show them where God is. And you say, Lee, what do you mean show them where God is? We have to open up our own lives so that all of our interior is exposed to our children. But instead of focusing them on all the issues we have when we open up, we have to expose them to that one perfect spot on the inside of us, because that is the dwelling place of the Most High God. That is the dwelling place of the Spirit of God. That is where the seal from the blood of Christ has been laid, in the depths of our soul. And our children need to identify with the fact that they have something that belongs to God. That soul does not belong to the person. It does not belong to the demon. It does not belong to anyone other than the Almighty God Himself. Each and every person on the planet has one. And when we die, that soul is going to go back to God, and it is going to receive orders to either enter into rest or be cast into death and damnation. Help them to see through all the darkness of our own personal lives being opened up. There is a light that shines from the depths of our soul, and that light is the source of all that is anything close to being related to or pertaining to power. That is the creator of everything that is, that was, and that shall ever be. And when we take the time to identify God in our own lives, it will help us to work out those issues. It will help us to have the strength to dig like a root, to get to the bottom, not to destroy the tree, but to replant it in fertile soil that it can grow thereby and bear fruit, that its roots can be planted like a tree by the river of water. This is our opportunity. This is our obligation. This is our commitment. If we truly are going to come together, we have to do it through our children. They have to see that light shine and radiate through us so that it can burn through all the stress that they're experiencing right now. They're dying too young. Medical issues are too plenteous. Diabetes is running rampant. Sexually transmitted diseases are taking over with our babies. And crime and violence is killing too many. Help them to see the light, and we'll see the change. I'm your host of Lee TV, Jermaine Lee. I thank Pastor Boyd for being in the studio for me today, and I encourage each of you to take some time, quiet yourself, and listen to the voice of God. See what it says to you directly. And if you're confused about what you think you feel, open up the Word of God and just read. Don't turn to no specific chapter. Don't turn to no specific place. Just eat the food and let it digest. Let it go to where it needs to be. Let it restore your strength as the eagles. You will see that this is the true path to life for our community, for the system, for the government, for the world. And those that choose life shall be saved from the second death. Pastor, you got any last words for us before we conclude the show?
Yes, I just want to say, I just thank God that this message today, I pray that it have really got down in somebody's heart to allow them to see that the future of the change of the community is in our children. And once they can see our past life, and we can show them that we can get rid of that past life and show them a good life, show them the best that we have now. Come out of that old stuff and be that cultivator, be that light to them, and prove to them, be better than me. And then I like the way you said it. You said it, you can't say no more to it. It was wonderfully said that our future in our community and in our system is in our children. So I thank God for that.
And for all those kids that's watching, you might not like what I'm about to tell your parents, but whoop your kids. Don't do it when you're mad. Don't do it when you're angry. Don't do it when you're distracted by something else. But whoop them, and whoop them out of love. And when you whoop them, you don't always have to whoop them with the rods. Sometimes you can whoop them with your words. Sometimes you can whoop them with push-ups. It works well with my sons. You can even do leg lifts, sit-ups, repetitions with the weights. Have them sit on the wall for about 20 minutes. They won't want it to happen again. Go get 2 blocks, sit them outside in the cold, and tell them to put on some pants, shoes and socks, underwear, a t-shirt, and a hoodie, and go outside and stand on top of them blocks, both feet like this. Make sure the block's not big enough for their feet, though. They gotta be big enough to balance, but not big enough to brace. You don't want them to be like this so they hold foot on it. They gotta have a little bit of the toes and a little bit of the heel off so they standing on the ball of their feet for about 15 to 20 minutes. In the cold outside right now, it seems a little excruciatingly painful, but it is positively reinforcing. Trust me, I told my son I was gonna whoop him all weekend, and he did. wall sittings. His mama broke him off with the rod. I call it the knuckle up. I am so upset I missed it. But, you know, it was fun having him stand outside on them wood blocks I got from your house when I was working with. I still got him outside. Had him doing the weights. He was just crying. I said, what you crying for? He said, I've been holding it for a long time because he still got the squeaky voice. I said, I bet you won't get kicked off the bus no more. Won't have no more homework assignments. Positively reinforce your rules. My children know. So if anybody's watching that ever deals with my children and they tell you house rules reign, my house rules are only preceded by God. Because my house rules come from the Word of God. So they know that nobody can tell them to do something that they would not do in my face. And if they tell you that, you need to listen. Because my rules are backed up by the guarantee of the Word of God. And I will enforce my rules of my house to the fullest to anyone who tries to violate them with me or my household. And I believe that we all should have that, because when we get our foundation from the Word of God and distribute it throughout our household, it brings a peace that we don't even understand. This is Lee TV's Impact on Life. I'm your host, Jermaine Lee, and we will see you next week. Stay blessed, be easy, and be beautiful. You are God's people.
Bless you.
Exclusive. Diamond Dub, loose lip. Diamond Dub exclusive.
Tell me where you been lately. Why you acting rowdy, crazy?
What do you mean?
Ready to go, ready to blow off the walls.
Well,
Don't
that's
you
just
know?
me.
Tell me where you been lately. Why you acting rowdy, crazy?
What do you mean?
Ready to go, ready to blow off the walls. Don't
I'm standing at the peak of my passion. April baby shower, send lightning a flashing. Overflow of diamond tidal waves are crashing. Flooding all the issues I've had in my past, and I'm surfing straight past them. I'm filling with action. All my haters swarming with the fatal attraction. Common curiosity, the question they're asking.
Tell me where you been.
I just look at them laughing, I keep moving on past them. I'm no longer a has-been, now I'm a Shelby. Gone in 60 seconds, unicorn the Shelby. Coming over obstacles, working with shall we, and yes we shall see Lee prevail.
Tell me where you been lately. Why you acting rowdy, crazy?
What do you mean?
Ready to go, ready to blow off the walls. Don't
that's
you
just
know?
me.
Tell me where you been lately. Why you acting rowdy, crazy?
What do you mean?
Ready to go, ready to blow off the walls. Don't you know?
2 scoops, some new shoes, and a pinstripe suit. Reminisce on mama playing a band high flute. Get fresh and best.